Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and while it may not have been pretty, a win is a win no matter what, and a win is what the San Francisco 49ers got over the Tennessee Titans in week number 15 with the final score of 37-24. The offense was cooking. Brock Purdy looked unstoppable, and the defense left a lot to be desired, especially in that third and fourth quarter, which made things a little closer than they really should have been at the end of the game. We'll get into the good, the bad, the Purdy of it all. We'll also get into why the Green Bay Packers and San Francisco 49ers are somewhat comparable now, and really why San Francisco and their fans, the faithful, us, are more confident in our team than Packer fans currently are in Green Bay. It's a weird dichotomy. We'll get into it all after week 15 and in this show itself. But first, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave us that 5-star audio podcast review. And we are trying to reach a goal of 2,000 subscribers by the end of the regular season. Hopefully you can help us out here on YouTube by doing that. Tell your friends, tell your family. And if you haven't already, subscribe if you like the content. And let's dive into week 15. The San Francisco 49ers stomping, at least offensively, the Tennessee Titans at Levi Stadium, getting their 10th win of the season, which that just feels odd in itself, knowing who they've lost to injury, the off-the-field things with Brandon Ayuk that's happened this year, the Juwan Jennings stuff. It just feels like 10 wins shouldn't be where San Francisco is at. Yet, here we are. Kyle Shanahan, Coach of the Year, get it done. He belongs there. He should get it hand over fist. We'll see where that ends when the season's over. But this game in particular, we have to start with the positive, because there is a lot of negative despite winning by 13 points and nearly scoring 40 points against the 2-win Tennessee Titans. San Francisco keeps pace with the Rams, who won their game against the Lions, which does help San Francisco by pushing the Lions down another peg and creating further separation in the wild card hunt. Meanwhile, the Seattle Seahawks found a way to overcome the grandfather strength of Phillip Rivers, who can't push the ball 5 yards downfield, but they nearly won that game. But Seattle eked it out with a game-winning 60-yard field goal by their kicker. So a lot of great games on the slate for Week 15. Even Sunday Night Football for the Vikings and Cowboys, also a great game if you watched that one on NBC. I did not. I was watching the Knives Out movie that came on Netflix, but here we are, nonetheless, discussing Niners and Titans. And let's start with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was awesome. Back-to-back games now, Brock has been phenomenal. I can only think of 2 bad throws in the entire game, and he attempted 30 of them. That's usually a pretty good way to grade quarterbacks and say, you only had 2 bad throws of the 30 you attempted. There were some throwaways in this game as well, which add on to that. But the 2 bad throws were, one, he forced to Juwan Jennings that was almost picked off, or was it Jennings or Pearsall? I think it was the Pearsall over the middle, almost got picked off, but wasn't because Pearsall's hand got in the way. The other one, Purdy overshot Pearsall on a wide open crossing route over the middle of the field, but that was really Purdy's only 2 errors. I know he fumbled in this game, but that was kind of a weird play. Like, was it a throw? Was it a fumble? The lineman got beat like it was nobody's business. It was like, here you go, right to the quarterback, and that's where things ended. So I can't fault Purdy for that in itself. He didn't see the guy, and had protection been better, it's probably a completed pass or at least an incompletion downfield. That said, besides those 2 or 3 plays, which I think shows you how nitpicky we have become with Brock Purdy, which makes sense. Getting paid a ton of money, you have to nitpick the guys that get paid that kind of money. But we've heard this past week, Joe Burrow. We talked about that on the Cover 3 YouTube exclusive podcast on Fridays at 2 p.m. And I won't lie, I was like, yeah, give me Joe Burrow over Brock Purdy. And while one game doesn't change that, Joe Burrow scored no points and turned the ball over twice against the Ravens this past week. And Brock Purdy threw 3 touchdowns, combined for over 330 yards and 140 rating per ESPN. He was on another level. Now, there is some context to add into that. The Titans lost like 3 secondary pieces to begin this game, so he wasn't playing starting caliber cornerbacks and safeties, and even then, you're playing the Titans, so even if they were healthy, are they actually starting caliber secondary pieces? Probably not, but I want to start by praising Brock Purdy, especially to begin this game, because, oh my God, San Francisco scored, I believe, on their first 5 drives of the game. It was just bang, 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 points, 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 and we discussed in the preview episode saying, you want San Francisco. Even if it gets weird and the defense doesn't play well, you at least want the offense to walk onto that field at Levi Stadium off the bye week looking like they own the field, looking like the better team. And by golly, they did. This offense was humming from Jump Street. It was like defense forces a 3 and out, which they got 3 of those today. It feels shocking saying that, knowing how bad they played in the fourth quarter, but they did get 3 and outs in this game against Tennessee and gave their offense good field position. And even when they didn't, the offense continued to answer. They had a 95-yard drive in this game that was nearly 9 minutes long, 10 minutes long. That's how good San Francisco's offense was. But starting on that first drive, they go up the field, 70 yards in 12 plays. Purdy looks aggressive downfield, but also playing safe. There's tempo. They're utilizing bootlegs and moving the pocket around. Purdy goes 5 for 6, 50 yards, 1 touchdown. Through Juwan Jennings, a drive-ending touchdown pass. They were getting Kittle involved early. He had 2 receptions for 32 yards. Big play action pass for 23 yards on that first drive. And you just said, yep, this is it. Yep. You can feel momentum. You can feel the offense. Like, this looked like 2023. This looked like the more healthy Niners offense that had a rhythm and a groove, that had Debo and Ayuk and Kittle in a, I guess you could say in his prime Christian McCaffrey, if you want to utilize or word it that way, that didn't even have Pearsall yet, right? It looked like the Niners offense of yesteryear, where we all said that is an unbeatable team. And while you could beat this unit in different ways, they were getting Demarcus Robinson involved early. Kendrick Bourne got some passes late. But the offense on that first drive, it was like a hot knife through butter, just right through Tennessee's defense. And funny enough, on the very first play of the game, which didn't feel right because the opening kickoff, Chase Lucas gets hurt. Somebody on Tennessee gets carried off the field. Then on the very first offensive play for San Francisco, it's like a little play action bootleg to Pearsall. He gets an illegal hip drop tackle on him, and it looks like he has a broken ankle. And we're like, oh my God, the first play out of the bye week, you thought you're going to get Yetur Gross-Matos back and Sam O back, and none of that happens. And now we're here. Now Pearsall's going to be hurt. He hasn't done much off the injury, and thankfully he was able to push through the hip drop tackle, which it was illegal. It should have been a flag. He will probably get some fine. The Titans defender will in the next few days, because you can't do that. You can't do that. And the refs somehow didn't see it at all. The refs also blew a false start on Burford late in the game in the fourth quarter on San Francisco's last drive where they scored points. He didn't move at all. And they called the false start. So that's the only real blemish from the refs in this game. They weren't involved too much because San Francisco really didn't let them get involved, which you'll love that. Going with the offense still, the defense allows 3 points. They're kind of getting pushed around. The defensive line isn't great. The interior is getting stonewalled. Alfred Collins and Kalia Davis, mainly Kalia Davis, are getting moved around like no one's business. Tony Pollard was just like I said he would be. Like everyone talked about, oh, it's a Titans offense, not very good. And I'm like, no. Yeah, they're not great. And I get that. But there's a reason why I said in my score prediction, 31-20. They're looking better. Tony Pollard looks better. Like 104 yards today, 7.5 yards per carry. Like, oh my God, that's disgusting. Tajay Spears had 11.3 yards per carry, 3 carries for 34 yards. And it was like, yikes. The Titans had 2 carries for 20 plus yards. They had a couple of big completions, one for 34 yards. That was a touchdown pass, and one that really might as well have been a touchdown pass for 43 yards downfield. But the defense was getting pushed around early in this game. And it was at least looking like there would be a bigger test by the Titans offense. Nevertheless, the Niners play bend, don't break, which I do think that needs to be the way, and it's going to be how they win games going forward. You can't trust this defense. We love Saleh, but they just don't have the dogs right now. Now, maybe once Gross-Matos comes back, if he comes back, Samuel Kawanu comes back, albeit he isn't a game changer, maybe it just gives you more depth and more bodies. Whereas now it's like you can clearly see when you're playing the Rams and you're playing the Seahawks, good luck. You're playing the Bears. It's not going to be a fun outing for this defense unless they tighten the screws, which you were hoping the bye week would be that, but a lot of the blemishes showed bad tackling, piss poor coverage everywhere throughout the entire game. Renardo Green, who looked like he was finally coming along, took a nosedive into the gutter in this game. So many just bites on double moves and bad angles towards runs. But anyways, on San Francisco's second drive, after going 12 plays, 70 yards on their first drive, they do it again. 7 plays and 70 yards. It was bang, 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 bang. Kittle gets a big screen pass for 24 yards. He bulldozes over a Titans defender. He looked great in this game. And then this is the drive where one of those kind of Purdy bad throws happened where he misses a wide open Pearsall streaking over the middle. That would have been probably a 35-yard, 40-yard reception pass, and he just overthrew him. And it was like, it was second down. And you're like, oh my God, like that's a throw that elite quarterbacks make. It's a gimme. You have to hit that. And then the very next play on third down, Purdy out of nowhere scrambles to his left, scrambles to his right, evades a sack, evades some pressure, and on the run, throws in stride, I may add, to a Demarcus Robinson running open for 29 yards, gets the first down. And you're like, okay, if you're going to miss the gimme, at least hit the hard one. And you did. So we'll take it. So it was a really good day from Purdy. He was really sharp. When there was a hiccup, he'd bounce right back, and you want that. Now, again, you want the gimme because in bigger games, when you get those, you can't miss. So there are things to clean up, but they're very few and far between in this game for Brock Purdy. Christian McCaffrey also gets a rushing touchdown to end that second drive. And there really wasn't much from Christian McCaffrey today, which again, if you listen to the preview podcast, wasn't a shocker. I told you guys how good Tennessee's run defense was and how much pressure there'd be on Brock Purdy to go out there and win a game like this for San Francisco. And I don't think it's too much to say Brock Purdy, albeit not single-handedly, was the driving force and the reason why San Francisco's offense won today. So many clutch third down throws. He was dropping back more than we usually see him drop back. This was a Brock Purdy cook game plan, and there wasn't just a nice steak on the grill, maybe in the cast iron with some asparagus. It was the steak, it was mashed potatoes, it was some carrots, it was some asparagus, it was a nice, cowboy butter. He was in that kitchen cooking, and it was like, let him do his thing. That's how good Brock Purdy was today for San Francisco. And there really was not a test, I would say, but it wasn't like San Francisco's defense was playing well throughout the entire game. There were stints. Again, they forced 3 and outs in this one, but the Titans were in this game early, right? Through 3 drives, 2 by San Francisco, 3 by Tennessee. This game is 14-10. Like, it's a close one-score game. Titans go 8 plays, 68 yards on San Francisco's defense. They were just getting bulldozed by Okonkwo on screens, 1 for 17 yards, 1 for 10 yards. And then Ward, who I was really impressed by Cam Ward today. I know the Titans aren't really a great place for a young quarterback. They fired their head coach, and it's a really young team that has an interim head coach trying to find their way, and there's hasn't been much continuity, and it's been ups and downs. It's been a lot of kind of just disastrous fallouts and collapses and just kind of missed throws by Ward, but also not being put in the best position to succeed by his coaching staff. And Cam Ward's dad will be in your DMs like he was on mine a couple weeks ago, saying, correcting me on some stuff. And I'm like, this is weird. There's like a weird aura around Tennessee. But to give him credit, man, a 34-yard, this laser, slung it in there to Gunnar Helm, who's wide open, some busted coverage. It looked like Lenore went to cover. Winters thought he was passing off the coverage. Nobody was there. Mustafa wasn't there. And it was just a terrible blown coverage, which seemingly happens once a game. And in this game, it happened like 3 or 4 times, which that will need to get cleaned up. San Francisco secondary looks so good against Cleveland, so good against the Cardinals, and so good against the Panthers, forcing takeaways and getting some interceptions. And in this game, they dropped 3 interceptions, which is just, it sucks. It's like having to relive Jaquiski Tart dropping the interception that maybe would have won them the NFC Championship game in 2021 against the Rams all over again. You're like, why can't safeties catch the ball in this defense? But nevertheless, Titans, they're in the game. It's 14-10. Pressure back on Brock Purdy. How do you respond? They, again, being up by 4 points, their third drive, they march 14 plays, 50 yards in about 6 minutes and 45 seconds. And this is where, besides the bootleg stuff on that first drive for San Francisco, we truly got the Brock Purdy mobility, which Brock Purdy looks completely healthy. Brock Purdy's hindrances of his toe, he got stepped on in this game, but besides that, there really wasn't any concerns. He scrambled on a 3rd and 3 and got a first down. He also, in the red zone on 2nd and 11 this drive, evaded 2 sacks and threw a ball away, and you were like, whoa, like that is what a playmaker does, and Brock looked like that for the most part. And even in this drive, there were 3 incredible throws. 2 of them were to Pearsall. It was 3rd and 13 on a comebacker. He just hits Pearsall right in stride as he's coming back to the ball. Bang, first down, pretty much right at the line of scrimmage for 14 yards. Then later on 3rd and 4, little out route to Pearsall for a conversion, kept the drive going, which became a very big kind of storyline in this game of how good San Francisco was on 3rd downs as a whole. Against Tennessee, they were 9 for 15 on 3rd downs. So they were unafraid to drop back early and often unafraid to give Purdy the ball on 3rd downs, as they shouldn't be. He is their franchise quarterback. But the consistency in which they were able to convert over and over again. They had a big 4th and 1 conversion late in the game as well. But while this drive stalled, and this is why I'm bringing it up, is that even when drives stalled for San Francisco, it wasn't because of Purdy. This drive stalled because Jennings couldn't haul in the comebacker that hit him right in the hands. Now, Tennessee's defender hit him, so maybe that was why things broke up. But while you can commend Tennessee, Purdy put the ball right on the money for Juwan. He just couldn't bring it in. San Francisco makes the field goal. It at least extends their lead by 7 points. Then to basically end the half, Tennessee's driving the ball downfield. Ward just, and this drive started off so weird because as Piñeiro's making the kickoff to go to the return man, the ball like tilts off the tee and he kicks it, and Piñeiro grabs the tee and is like, hey, like, look, the ball fell off. And the refs are like, what are you talking about, man? Oh, like, what are you, like, Leo or Theo, whatever his name was from that 70s show, just like, come on, man, you Tommy Chong, you high out of your mind? Like, how do you not see that? Even the Fox broadcast was like, yeah, the ref was looking at the return, not the ball, which is his actual job. And I will take my 2 seconds to once again ask the NFL to get actual full-time refs. I'll do it. Pay me $50,000 a year. I'm not asking for much. I will be a full-time referee for you, whatever it takes to make sure there's not idiocracy all over the referee field right now. There's so many blown plays, so many blown coverages, so many mistakes happening all over the field. There weren't many in this game, but the refs not seeing the ball, just going whoop off the tee, angling the kick the wrong way or kind of towards out of bounds, and Pinheiro wasn't happy. Shanahan was laying some F-bombs down in the sideline, being like, how do you not effing see this and everything? And nothing got resolved, as you can tell. But this was another big drive where San Francisco, one, drops an interception, which happened a lot, but two, had a blown coverage. Green bites on double move, and Ward has Van Jefferson streaking towards the left sideline wide open, and he overshoots him. And you're just like, wow. Like, Green bit so hard on the double move, which makes no sense. There's almost no time on the clock. You know, the next play, the one you're currently in, is the one they have to take a shot if they want to take a shot. So don't bite. Play a little more conservative. If you allow a play over the middle, who cares, right? The clock's running. You never know what can happen. Make the tackle. Live to fight the next down. Them attempting a field goal doesn't really hurt you that much. You're still leading by at least 4. Now, in this case, they missed the field goal, that being Joey Sly, which kind of bailed out San Francisco big time at this point in time of the game. But I don't know how, like, why are you biting on moves towards the inside? I don't mind you just kind of shading back a little bit. Instead, you bite harder than my dad, who has like 17 crowns on peanut brittle on a Christmas morning and is like, I gotta go to the dentist, it broke my cap. Why? One, why are you eating peanut brittle when you know you have so many caps and crowns in your mouth? You shouldn't do that. But two, why are you biting on double moves knowing this is the Titans' last potential opportunity for a big play to score a touchdown before halftime? It doesn't make sense. So, again, a terrible game by Bernardo Green in this one. This is like burn it and just forget about it. That's how bad it was. It was disgusting. It was just like, ugh. I just want to dry heave it away. That's how bad it was. But Titans missed the field goal. Awesome. Great. Cool. Wash your hands. Whatever. Move on and kind of go, whew, escape that. But this is when things for San Francisco get really exciting because, you're up by 7 points. You get the ball at halftime. It's time to put the Titans away. You score a lot. You kind of start to create that separation, and they do just that. It was a statement drive. We can score on you whenever we want to. They go 4 plays, 67 yards in just over 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 6 seconds. 4 plays, 67 yards. Every play was over 10 yards. Every play was over 13 yards, I may add. It was a 14-yard reception by Christian McCaffrey. He kind of jukes the defender, pushes him off of him, runs for 14 yards. Then I think Purdy's, although not his best throw, one of his best throws of the day is he snaps it, kind of rolls to his right, and just lasers a throw to Pearsall over the middle. He reared back. You could tell, you could hear the through the broadcast on the television of like, oh, he reared back for that. And he lasered that sucker in there for 38 yards over the middle. Pearsall couldn't break away entirely, but got, again, nearly 40 yards, setting San Francisco up for a Juwan Jennings 13-yard touchdown pass with Purdy on the move. And that team was like it was a message drive. San Francisco had scored on all of their drives up to that point. At this time, they had scored on 4 consecutive drives, 3 touchdowns, 1 field goal. And this was, we are not messing around. We know things are kind of close. You're only down by 1 score, but now here's the nail, and I'm hitting it into the coffin. So we thought, because after San Francisco's defense forces a 3-and-out, the Niners do it all over again. It's a good punt, or not a great punt by the Titans, but there was some miscommunication, or at least some near error by the special teams punt return unit because one of San Francisco's players, I don't know who it was, runs into Sky Moore, which we've seen that plenty of times. Knock on wood. Super Bowl was when it happened for Darrell Luter Jr., but runs into Sky Moore. Ball nearly hits him. It doesn't, and it bounces on the San Francisco's 5-yard line. And you're like, oh, well, that isn't ideal. Maybe you can gain some separation, but this is, again, where Brock Purdy's brilliance in the offense performance showed. And I'm telling you, like, this is the best San Francisco's offense has looked in over a year and a half. This is, I think, the best 2-game stretch they've had since 2023. Like, maybe you go back to that 5-game winning streak to begin 2023. Maybe there was a handful of games late in that season. It's a long time ago, so I'm forgetting. But, like, this is the best 2-game stretch they've had. Now, you're playing the Browns in Tennessee, so, make of that what you will. But you have to give credit where it's due and when it's due. And against the good Browns defense, Purdy was phenomenal, right? And against Tennessee's not great defense, Purdy was what you want him to be. Just cutting through things like it's nothing, right? It was like, he had the flex seal of like, I can fix it. Bang. It was like, oh, Niners are fixed. They're awesome. The concerns were gone. And on this drive, backed up on their own 5-yard line, San Francisco methodically goes 15 plays, 95 yards in 9 minutes and 14 seconds, and they put up 7 more points. Unlike the second play, because Christian McCaffrey runs the ball on first down, gets nothing. The second play, backed up on his own red zone, in his own goal line, which is risky as all can be, knowing if you get called for a holding pass, that's a safety. But if you get sacked, it could be a strip sack. It can also be a safety. It isn't a position you want to find yourself in a lot throughout the NFL season. But they were there. And on second down, Purdy and Pearsall connect again for 14 yards, laced over the middle. Bing, bang, boom. Heck yes. And this was kind of the Pearsall breakout game where he hadn't really done much. He had the 3 good games to begin the season, a big reason why they won against Seattle and against the Cardinals, but he'd been quiet, right? We'd all been clamoring, where's Ricky? Where's Ricky? In this game, he couldn't run much because of his ankle and his knee got hurt again, which hopefully he's healthy, and it just sucks. Whenever he finds his stride, something creeps back up. Today it was the hip drop tackle early, then later in the game, we'll get to that in a second. He stumbles and falls and catches the ball still on third down and helps save the game for San Francisco's offense. But then he leaves the game because his PCL got injured again. So fingers crossed he's okay. He'll get some imaging on Monday or Tuesday. But he was awesome, man. Pearsall was great. This was what San Francisco needed, and it's what San Francisco still needs throughout the year. Whether knowing Brandon Ayuk's not coming back and knowing that you really don't have a separating wide receiver, Pearsall can be that. 6 receptions, 96 yards, 16 yards per catch on 7 targets. He was just a breath of fresh air to offense that has looked better, but there's a clear another level they can take, and they hadn't been able to do that. And with Pearsall playing in this game and finally kind of breaking out of his shell once again, you can see there is more steps to take, and they can reach the level they were close to, at least in 2023, again in 2025. That said, Kittle kept going on this drive as well. Had a big check down to him for 13 yards. He broke 2 tackles. He looks fresh, which is always a big problem for Kittle and others on this team late into seasons, of not looking fresh, looking old, brittle, injured, because the NFL is hard to play in. Kittle looks maybe the best we've seen him late in a season since probably 2022. And I don't think that's too crazy to say. Like, this is probably the best version of George Kittle we've had late in the year since Purdy's rookie season. And it's really showing. He looks faster. He looks stronger. Now, again, you're playing Tennessee, so maybe that changes once you're playing a better defense like the Colts, the Bears, and Seattle the last 3 games of the season. But right now, it looks tremendous. Big 13-yard check down, breaks a couple tackles. But I think the biggest play of the game that we saw came on this drive, and it wasn't Brock Purdy's jump throw to Kittle in the end zone for a touchdown to cap off things and give them a 21-point lead late in the third quarter. I think it's Purdy scrambling, man. Purdy had an iconic moment in this game in the third quarter on this drive. And, my wife doesn't really watch games with me. She's more of the, I'm going to go to the kitchen and bake. I'm going to go watch Wicked for the 19th time. I'm going to go watch Dune. She loves Dune so much, which who doesn't? But she is not a football fan. And I showed her the highlight of Brock Purdy pump faking a handful of times, juking a couple Titans defenders, and then as he's running for 26 yards, I might add, the longest run by a San Francisco player this season, which is crazy knowing he still has turf toe to some degree. But he puts the ball in Titans linebacker Cody Barton's face of like, you want it? You want it? And then gets out of bounds, and then he kind of laughs it off and goes to Barton and is like, I'm sorry, man. He kind of got caught up at the moment, and everything was all, hunky-dory, as they used to say in the early 2000s and the 90s. God, I'm old. I'm 29 now. Jeez. But it was a funny moment. It was like, one, Purdy looks great today. Two, the mobility is back. He can run. He can move around. He's feeling really good. The bye week served him well and probably came at the right time for him, having played 3 games in a row. And now a week off, fresh, you're at home. It's just a good day for Brock and a good couple weeks for Brock now. And but that was a fun, like you can tell Brock was having fun. And it came through the television of oh, we're all having fun today. Brock's having a good game. He's throwing he's just lacing throws left and right. He's hitting guys open, throwing guys open. He can do no wrong today, basically. And when you're doing that, it makes it a lot easier to have fun. Close games usually aren't fun. You want to have those stress-free. It's like playing basketball, right? You can tell when you're going to have a good game, whether you're shooting hoops or you're playing knockouts, you're kind of farting around with your friends, or you're doing pickup basketball. When you hear that ball hit the net a handful of times, just swish, 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 and you just feel it's like your heat meter is starting to get hot, and you're like, woo, I can feel it. Woo, man, that was like watching Brock today. As the drives continued, you can see the meter going boop, 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 boop. And at this point, it was like he activated his special ability of taunting and not getting a foul, but also looking like he's having a darn good, fun time out there against the Titans, which shouldn't be too much to ask for from a quarterback getting paid like he is. But it was really fun to see. Purdy looked tremendous. And that was a highlight moment of the game. Just so fun to watch. Purdy out there. Then he's doing the Dougie after his touchdown pass to Kittle. He's calling for the crowd, come on. You're like, yes. While there are still things that worry me, we'll get to the defense more in depthly as the show goes on, but it's just fun, man. I kind of caught some flack from people on social media and even on the show itself, where I said Purdy might be the second best quarterback in the NFC playoffs. And you can nitpick, and I get that. Totally understand. But watching this game, again, against Tennessee, I get that. But it's hard not to buy into that. Hard not to believe Purdy might just be the second best quarterback in the NFC. And I think this was a good momentum building game. We talked about it previewing the game of this is a perfect defense to play for this offense. Off the bye week, there may be some rust. There clearly wasn't in this game from San Francisco's offense, but you're playing a defense that doesn't really have a pass rush, can't really cover. You're looking at good games for Jawan and Pearsall and Kittle, which, funny enough, almost everything I said would come true came true. Even the score prediction was only about 4 points off. So pat myself on the back there. Just saying. But I don't know. It just Purdy looked and has looked really good for 2 games. And you're hoping that as they creep up against bigger opponents, better opponents, the Colts defense, albeit has some injuries, they're still a good defense. And they're kind of fighting for their own playoff life now with Philip Rivers playing quarterback. The Bears are kind of like they've jumped the Packers for the NFC North again, but they're still kind of vying for the number 1 seed. And the Packers, who lost Micah Parsons today, which sucks. Maybe also Christian Watson. That also stinks, and already lost Devontae Wyatt early in the season. They're kind of floundering, kind of searching for air in the NFC playoff hunt. The Lions are still alive because of that, and I'm sure the Lions are like, there's blood in the water. Can we get up and kind of surpass Green Bay, which I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. That said, the Bears are a good team. They're vying for their playoff spots still. Seattle's defense is top-notch. Like, you're hoping this game is one they can carry over into the next 3 and hopefully get some wins out of it. And if this is the Brock Purdy they get for the rest of the season, or the last 3 games of the regular season, the Niners are going to be a hard team to beat. And I don't think that's far-fetched to say. If this is the Brock Purdy you get, even if it's the Brock Purdy against the Browns or somewhere in between, the Niners offense will always give opposing defenses nightmares. It'll be a pain in the ass, if you will. Sorry, Mom, for cursing on the show. But it'll just be a pain for defensive coordinators to scheme up against because it's almost impossible. On top of that, if you have Pearsall healthy and doing what he did today, which he said he's not too worried about it, but you never know. Niners seem to always have these weird, oddly, lingering out of nowhere injuries. Even Jordan Elliott got hurt he was stretching in the locker room and got hurt. What's that about? That doesn't make any sense at all. But nevertheless, Purdy was awesome. He's moving around, juking some dudes, and having a darn good fun time doing it. He looked like the guy you're paying him to be, which is exactly what you want. The next drive, though, is one of those 3 and outs again for San Francisco's defense. And this was the second time in this game where the Niners dropped an interception. Jair Brown dropped an INT. It can't keep happening like this. I'm so tired of watching the Niners safeties miss tackles, whiff tackles. I'm tired of seeing Mustafa and Jair Brown coming up trying to make plays and just outright missing dudes because they don't break down. They don't, kind of chop their feet in this arm tackle dudes and utilize your body. I'm tired of seeing it. I don't care. You can hit guys really quick and really hard and really big if you're missing guys all the time. I'm tired of seeing it. San Francisco has to get new safeties. I'm not saying both of them. I'm saying one of them. Mustafa still has upside. Jair Brown probably has to go or at least somehow get benched because I'm tired of seeing these dudes run around saying, I'm the top 5 safety in football. I can make some plays and playing really good the last couple of games, but I'm not sure if they walked in overconfident, but they just could not hit the broadside of the barn. They couldn't tackle you-know-what today, and they couldn't catch jack squat either. These dudes couldn't catch anything. They dropped 3 interceptions. 2 of them were easy ones right to him, and it would have ended the game. You wouldn't have had the whole nail-biting finish. You wouldn't have had the need for the offense to pick up the pieces again. You wouldn't have had us leaving this game as fans like, yeah, you won, but wow, I'm really concerned now for the defense. Like, if you checked off 2 of the 3 possible takeaways you had, San Francisco probably scores 40 points and Titans probably score 17. Like, that's why getting takeaways matters. It's why dropping interceptions is inexcusable. I know it happens sometimes. I'm not saying it's easy. I don't play in the NFL. Who am I to say, right? But when quarterbacks, especially when you're playing good ones, but guys like Stafford, guys like Darnold, who will give you the ball back at times, you have to capitalize. They need to hit the jug machine. I'm tired of watching them, hold their hands up like, what did I do? You're not Brucey from Longashard. You didn't have any popcorn, brother. Those gloves are like stickum. There's almost no excuse as to why you can't catch the football. If I can watch Odell Beckham Jr. with one of the greatest catches ever falling back, one arm to the back of the end zone, make a play and score a touchdown. You can't catch an interception right to you. Yeah, I'm tired of seeing it. These safeties are not good. Now, I can excuse Mustafa more simply because there is a higher upside there. There's the injury stuff with him recently. He's back off of it, and he had a really good last couple games. Jair Brown had a good game against Carolina, and then kind of took a little bit of a dip against the Browns, and that dip just said, hey, we're diving in, brother. Good luck. And he plugged his nose and said, see you later. And Mustafa, it just crumbled. This is one of the worst games he's ever played. I don't know what happened. He couldn't track the ball through the air. He couldn't tackle. Nothing. There's a reason why the Titans in this game, from Pollard and Spears, had 17 carries for 138 yards and averaged over 10 yards per carry. Now, a lot of that is because of the San Francisco's defensive line wasn't doing their job and they couldn't bring guys home, but they're also depleted. They don't have Yetur Gross-Matos. They don't have Samuel Kawanu. They don't have Jordan Elliott. They're playing two rookies in West and Collins who they've been better. They've been good, really good at times in Collins' case, but they're young. They're going to make mistakes. Brown's in year 3. Mustafa, okay, you're in year 2. Their injury stuff, whatever. Brown has no excuse. None. You don't get to miss tackles and drop interceptions in year 3 of your career. Now it's a bad game. Maybe you can forget it, but I'm tired of it. I'm tired of watching a Niner defender, primarily a safety, with a running back of the opposing team. Running back of the opposing team, running in open space or running in a crowd, and all you see is this gold and red dart missile flying through the air, freaking 4 rows into the sideline, missing a tackle like, man, what happened? You didn't do your job, brother. Break down, use your body, make tackles. That's a big reason as to why, and you heard the broadcast, Robert Saleh said, we needed this break, we were kind of tired. You didn't look tired today, you just looked bad. That can't happen. The Niners don't need to have their defense play excellent football to win games. That isn't the expectation I have. They just need them to play competent level of football. They're going to get beat. They're a young defense that doesn't have their elite. They don't have their guys. They don't have Fred. They don't have Bosa. They don't have the elite guys that can change games for them. They're duct taping things together. They're young. They're going to make mistakes. It is a week-by-week case with these guys. And you're hoping to find some level of consistency at this point in time of the season. And while there was that for a little bit the last couple games during this 4-game winning streak, this was a complete tank job. And I don't blame fans for saying, I don't believe in the defense for a lot of reasons. You can't get home to pass rush. You allowed a Jeffrey Simmons touchdown on a broken play. How do you lose a 335-pound defensive tackle in the back of the end zone? I'm sorry. Whenever I see somebody who is over 300 pounds in any part of life, I go, wow, they're really hard to miss. They're really hard to not see with your eyes. Like, you can see those people coming from a mile away, and it's all love. Do what you want, but my God, you're not hard to miss. I'm a big dude. I'm not hard to miss in a crowd. I'm 6'2", 225 pounds. I stick out. I got a semi-porno stash. You notice me. How do you not see a 300-pound defensive lineman who you know is an eligible receiver with a red arm sleeve and the opposing team jersey on in the end zone? Like, no, I'm not going to guard that kind of broken play. What's that about? You have Lenore getting beat on an in or out to Van Jefferson late in the game to help kind of really spark things for Tennessee's offense, which made this game a lot closer than it should be, which came off of so rewind a little bit here and I can kind of explain what I'm talking about. Niners force their third 3 and out of the game. It's still 31-10. Niners go out there. They go 3 and out. I don't know why the Niners starters were in the game at this point in time. However, knowing how dicey things got, okay. They even had to remove Christian McCaffrey and put CMC back in the game in this one. They had started rolling out Brian Robinson. Um, and then they were like, crap, CMC, get back in there. Well, things are getting scary again. But Purdy gets hit on back-to-back plays. One of them was a fumble by Jeffrey Simmons. Titans recover. Then in a disastrous 3-play swing, going back to my point of Lenore getting beat on the inside route, Purdy fumbles. Lenore gets beat on the inside, and Mustafa, I don't know what he saw, couldn't track a ball in the air, doesn't play the receiver. It also doesn't play the ball and kind of just like runs past the route and like barely clips Van Jefferson for a 44-yard reception that goes down at the 1-yard line. And you're like, yo, the game, although is a big distance apart, it isn't over. What are we doing? What are we doing? And you're like, oh my God. And that leads to Simmons getting a big touchdown in the back of the end zone, which I'm not sure if there's ever been a player that has forced a fumble on defense and on the ensuing offensive drive scored a touchdown. Like, I don't know if that's ever happened ever in the NFL. But thankfully, the Niners offense stayed out there because Purdy layers a 20-yard throw over the middle, over a linebacker to Juwan Jennings, kind of gets the spark back for the offense. He scrambles. Then things continue to get ugly because they have a delay of game, then a rather uneventful running back draw to Christian McCaffrey goes nowhere, goes for 3 yards. So it's 3rd and 10. And then they false start, which Burford didn't move, but a flag was thrown anyways. So it's 3rd and 15. And on 3rd and 15, they have a completion to Kittle for 14 yards. So it's 4th and 1, I believe. And then they tell Pinheiro, kick a field goal. And then the guy that just giveth the Titans a fumble and a touchdown, Jeffrey Simmons, he gets called for a personal foul, which would have had Pinheiro miss the field goal. So at this point, it could have been Titans football near midfield, with it being, 31-17. And there, at that point, they're 2 scores down, thinking like, hey, we have a shot in this one. But it negates that. They get down into the red zone, and I think this is where Purdy's other great throw was, which, funny enough, was also dropped by Kittle. He on 2nd and 20, the anticipation Purdy has on a 2nd and 20 pass, needing to score some points, hoping to get a big chunk play, to just look, see the defense, and it was like hike 1-2, bang, balls out. It was a laser. You could hear the through the broadcast. He was pushing this thing as hard as he could, and it just it got Kittle's hand and he dropped it, and it was like, dude, that is a great throw. And it's like Purdy's best throws, although a lot of them were accounted for, fell into the incompletion category as well. And it's like, man, like that tape is going to just be like it's teaching tape of what you want Brock Purdy to look like. The anticipation was there, momentum was there, mobility was there, the arm strength was there, and this is the best Brock Purdy we've seen for a long time. But they get a field goal. It's 34-17. And Titans score an easy touchdown, basically, because San Francisco can't stop the run. And then basically the last drive of the game, although it wasn't, it was basically it, but it iced the game for San Francisco. Good old faithful. On 3rd and 11, after a failed Christian McCaffrey run and a screen pass to Kittle for loss, which again, the game at the time, what is it? It is 34-24. It's a 10-point game. Game isn't over. About 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. Plenty of time for Tennessee to go down, score a touchdown. They have their timeouts. Like, this game is not over by any means. And on 3rd and 11, after the 2 failed plays by McCaffrey and Kittle, this is where Pearsall gets hurt again. But on 3rd and 11, it's a comebacker. Purdy again throws it in there. Perfect timing. Pearsall coming back to the ball. And the defender stumbles. Pearsall then kind of falls down awkwardly and catches the ball falling to his knees, can't get back up, converts the first down, gets up hobbling, saying, "Someone come get me, someone come get me," gets helped off the field onto the sideline. And that basically was the end of Pearsall in the end of the game for San Francisco. They go on, they make a field goal, and Titans don't score. And this was it was a pretty awesome, ugly amalgamation of like, what the heck and oh my God. And you like to be more on the oh my God part of that spectrum than the what the heck part of the spectrum. And maybe if you want to be more vulgar, you can say, other words that are in the what the heck spectrum. But Pearsall was great. Kittle was great. Jauan Jennings, 6 touchdowns in his last 6 games. I know there's been some discussion, whatnot. You got to at least broach the idea of bringing back Jauan. He loves playing here. I know sometimes negotiations can be ugly. We have seen one come and go with Brandon Ayuk, and he's done. He's gone, which just sucks. And it may make San Francisco hesitant to pay Jauan Jennings, knowing the Ayuk thing, which is understandable, albeit Jauan is a different receiver than Ayuk, and I think you can find replacements for Jauan. However, if he doesn't want too much money, why not? Like, why not bring him back? I'm at least open to re-entering discussions with Jauan Jennings. Money can change people, as we have seen a lot of recently, unfortunately, with Brandon Ayuk, but Jauan wants to get paid. He wants guarantees, and hopefully there's at least some room for the Niners and Jauan to have a conversation again. It may lead nowhere, but the way Jauan has played after a really slow start and kind of losing himself a lot of money, he has come on hot and earned himself that money again. So I don't know if it's $20 million worth, but Jauan certainly deserves some praise. Okay, Pearsall, great. Jennings, great. Kittle, great. Purdy, great. Offensive line, good enough. McCaffrey, not a great game, but, still on pace for 1,000 yard season, so we'll leave it there. They need some more from him, but you are playing Tennessee's, I think, underrated rushing attack. And really, McCaffrey did have some plays that he would shake some guys off. There just wasn't a lot of room to run today, which has been the problem a lot this year. But you're hoping that can change against the Colts and against the Bears and against the Seahawks, which are much better teams than the Titans are. So maybe not, but they'll need some more. But he also had a back injury, so I don't know. It's kind of a confusing mess with Christian McCaffrey at times, because at times he looks slow, at times he looks phenomenal, at times he looks, I'll put it this way. There's been so many variables and varying levels of play from Christian McCaffrey in the running game as a whole this year, where it's like, wow, stats are great. Passing attack is awesome. But like 3.2 yards per play today for Christian McCaffrey, and 3.3 yards on the ground. It's like, he had 22 carries for 73 yards. Like, there is this kind of like dog-like mentality of, I'm just going to grind things out. And that's great. He looks healthy, so, we'll leave it there. But you want a little more. Unfortunately, that seems like where things are currently with the Niners rushing attack. I do want to turn things back to the defense, because this team cannot run defend. And you got Jonathan Taylor, Monday Night Football next week. Then you have Kyle Monangai, Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, and in 2 weeks against the Bears. And then you have Kenneth Walker and Sam Darnold and Zach Charbonnet against Seattle. Although those are kind of like a descending order of backs, you may have the offensive player of the year going against your run defense next week. This team desperately misses Tatum Bethune at linebacker, which I didn't think I would say, but I am. And it's no disrespect to Bethune. It's just, that's where things are now. Maybe getting Nicholas Martin back will help, although probably not much. I didn't see Will Gifford a lot. They did a lot more of the big nickel stuff with Pinnock, and Pinnock's a fine run defender. He's just bad in coverage, which we've said all year long. But I just think what's happening a lot is you're seeing cornerbacks not stay on the edge, not set the edge. You're seeing run defenders not being able to set the edge and force guys back inside, thus them getting to the cornerbacks and the outside of the defense. And then you have cornerbacks that either can't tackle, safeties who can't tackle, or refuse to tackle, or cornerbacks that are biting on things, and it's just a mess. It's a mess. And I am worried that against a Phillip Rivers led offense that cannot push the ball downfield, you're going to see Shane Steichen and Jonathan Taylor have a freaking field day against this defense. So I'm hoping that Chris Montos comes back, Sam O comes back, and Bethune can come back to hopefully help fortify what has been a rather piss-poor run defense the last couple weeks or so. Some games are just not your day. I understand that. But when you go for 5 yards a pop against Cleveland, or they go for 5 yards a pop against you have a bye week, should be able to clean things up. And then Tennessee, who I will say is a surging rushing attack with Pollard back in the fray, they should not be rushing for almost 8 yards a pop, 10 yards a pop. That is not bad. That is not the worst in football. That is throw you in a dumpster, spit on you, grind you up, and say, how did you make it to the NFL? Kind of bad. So there was so much good today from the offense, and there was so much ugly today from the defense, especially in that secondary on the defensive line. Really, it was like scattered goodness. A couple of 3-and-outs. If you can secure some interceptions, maybe things change and we aren't harping on them so much, but something has to change and the defense has to get better. That said, I want to end today's show by discussing something I found interesting on social media. Already mentioned earlier in the show, the Packers. They lose to Denver. They fall to the 7th seed. San Francisco goes to the 6th seed. The Bears climb back up, I believe, to the 2nd seed, I think. I think that's right. And the Rams go to the 1 seed, I believe. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm sorry. But so right now it would be, I think, Packers traveling to Chicago, Niners versus Philadelphia, in Philadelphia, 6 versus 3 seed. And then it will be Seattle going to Carolina, who lost to the Saints today. Tyler Shugg. Okay, Tyler Shugg's looking pretty good. Saints may have something out there with their 26-year-old quarterback. But I found it very interesting that Niner fans have gone through the emotions of losing Nick Bosa in week 3, losing Fred Warner, losing Brock Purdy for a period of time, losing Pearsall for a period of time, losing George Kittle for a period of time, and they still are losing players of varying levels, right? And there has been this mental fortitude of the team, of the fan base, of the coaching staff of like, you got to keep moving along. Like, yeah, it sucked, but this is the card you've been dealt. Like, how do you make do? How do you push forward? And the Niners fan base and the team took those things in stride, said they sucked, admitted that there may be a ceiling to this team that isn't what they want it to be, but we're going to make best of what we have. And the only thing you can do is, go to your bootstraps, lace them up, and come to work the next day. And today, Green Bay, who has lost Devontae Wyatt early in the year, a big run defender for them, he's done for the season. They lost their number 1 wide receiver, Christian Watson, today, which I don't know how long he'll be out. And they lost Micah Parsons via a torn ACL, who will miss the rest of the season and maybe a little bit of next year as well. We'll see how his recovery goes. Hope all those guys get healthy. Hate injuries so much. Mahomes too in there. Hate it, hate it, hate it. Yet, I'm seeing Packer fans all over social media say, the season's over. We can't do this. We have no hope. Hope is lost. Micah Parsons goes down. Watson goes down. Wrap it up. nope, not the year. Can't do it. Oh no, towel was thrown in, and they are demoralized. They are defeated. And I know they're playing in the NFC North. Things are close. But San Francisco's playing in the NFC West. Things are tight. Things are close. And I'm hearing Packers fans just openly kind of be like, that was it. Call it a year. Chalk. It's over. And essentially condemn their team, who I think is a darn good team, albeit has a lot of injuries, like San Francisco does, although not as many. Maybe has equally as important ones, I should say. And they're just done. Like, you're going to see Packer fans power rankings. You're going to see them all week sulking of like, oh my God, we can't do anything. Season's over. And it all comes down to, while there are so much to blame and so many black marks on the resume of John Lynch, of Kyle Shanahan, of Robert Saleh, the way they've been able to keep the ship afloat, keep San Francisco with their eyes pointed forward, not left or right. That is an attest to how great of a coaching job this year has been. Niner fans, maybe outside of the uber negative ones, they said, okay, it's early. We're still in this thing. We'll see what we can do. And Mac Jones came in. He surprised some people and kept things afloat. And Purdy came back, and they've won 4 games in a row. And now we'll see where and kind of make a better assessment as to where San Francisco lies and all this stuff over the next 3 weeks. Yet Packers fans, who I think have a 2-game advantage or a 1-game advantage over the Lions, play the Bears soon. Like, I know you lose your best players. It hurts. It sucks. Trust me. We know in San Francisco and the Bay Area. But that's why coaching matters. And it's why Robert Saleh matters. It's why Kyle Shanahan deserves Coach of the Year. He lost his guys week 3, week 6. It was like, oh my God, how do you go forward? And it wasn't getting better. And now I can probably say Niner fans are probably as confident as they've been all season. You've won 4 games in a row. You're in the hunt. You're 1 game behind. Although you don't have the tiebreaker over the Rams, the 1 seed is not out of the question. You can climb to the 5th seed as early as next week. Rams, Seattle play. If you win that game, or if the Seahawks lose that game and you beat the Colts on Monday Night Football, you're the 5th seed with two games to go. Like, the fact that Packers fans have no belief in their team, and then you flip it and look at how much belief Niner fans have in Shanahan, in Purdy. Like, in this case, you should hear Packers fans saying, I believe in Jordan Love. I believe in Matt LaFleur. I believe in Josh Jacobs. I believe in XYZ. I believe in Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator. No one's saying that. Nobody's talking about that. They aren't taking it in stride. It is Mayday, DEFCON 1. Just lock it up, seeing 2026. Meanwhile, you have the Niners who were like, we have been at DEFCON 1 all year, buddy. All year. And we are making it do. We are patching holes. We are fixing problems. We are getting rid of viruses and ailments and injuries and just pushing and trucking along. Not Green Bay. And the reason why I compare this and kind of bring it to you is because I think it's worth pointing out of why. Why do they feel that way? Why do they not have the belief in their quarterback, in their head coach, in their defense, despite their losses? Green Bay was a Super Bowl favorite entering the season, especially after they got Parsons. And when you lose guys like that, obviously the odds go down of winning anything. The Niners walked in to some not even being a playoff team. And yet here we are with some belief. And now going into week 16 saying, like, we don't know what kind of chance we have at this thing, but at least we have one. And I ask you why. Sit on that. Why do Niner fans believe in Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy more than Packers fans believe in Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, who the latter, a lot of people would say is better than Brock Purdy? Why is that? Is it simply just good coaching? It feels like there's a reason why we trust Kyle and Purdy more. I think if you asked a lot of the world, who do they trust more? They'd probably say Kyle and Brock and Robert Saleh over LaFleur and Love and Jeff Hafley. Why is that? I think there's a clear answer there, but I'll let you stew on it and think about it, and I'll maybe bring it up again as we preview Monday Night Football, Niners versus Colts. The Niners have 10 wins. If they win one more game, they have clinched a playoff spot in what has been a wild, fun, zany, crazy 2025 season, and they can climb to the 5th seed with a Seahawks loss against the Rams on Thursday Night Football. So stay tuned for that as the week goes on. Also, stay tuned Thursday night, myself and Larry Krueger on the Pig in a Pickle Krug Show, reacting to that Rams and Seahawks game on Thursday night. And on Friday, 2 p.m. West Coast time, myself, Dre from Dre Sports, and Aaron from 49ers First Takes will have the Cover 3 podcast exclusively on YouTube to help get you ready for that Niners and Colts game in live reacting to Kyle Shanahan's press conference as we gear up for Week 16 against Phillip Rivers. That's right, Grandpa Rivers on the field again against San Francisco. Should be fun, and hopefully we're celebrating a win by the end of Week 16. But right now, celebrate your victory Monday. Week 15, Niners take the Titans to the cleaners. They win 37-24. Drop those comments down below. Are you in full belief mode? Are you rocking your Niner gear on a victory Monday? Are you celebrating, popping bottles, saying, hey, Week 15 is here. It's the holiday season. We are 11, or if you're listening to this on Monday, 10 days away from Christmas, folks. It's almost here. Probably a good time to say, if you want to go to a Niner game this season, maybe it's Week 18, Levi Stadium, rivalry jerseys on in the debut. Utilize our promo code 49ersaccess, 49ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Also follow us on social media at 49ers.access is the Instagram, 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave us that 5-star audio podcast review. And as always, my name is Sterling Bennett. And until next time, Niners with the win, and stay faithful.